Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has announced an austerity drive for all ministers. The goal of this drive is to reduce state spending by nearly $766 million each year. Prime Minister Sharif requested his advisors and ministers to fly economy class, forgo luxury travel and take salary cuts as a part of this austerity drive.
इसमें जो वज़ीर ख़ज़ाना बताइए तमाम वफ़ाकी वज़रा
All federal ministers, advisors, ministers of state and special advisors of this government have agreed not to take salaries and allowances voluntarily. These measures, as the finance minister has told me, will save us 200 billion rupees annually.
Sharif added that all ministries have been directed to reduce their expenditure by 15%. They've been asked not to use luxury vehicles. This directive comes as Islamabad negotiates with the IMF to secure a $1 billion bailout, which has been stalled since 2022 over policy disagreements. The Prime Minister called the measures the need of the hour. Sharif hailed the sacrifice of the Pakistani poor who have been unable to purchase food and medicines due to rising commodity prices. The inflation crossed 27% last month. Now, for more on this, we're being joined by Imtiaz Gul, a senior journalist from Islamabad. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the goal, as I mentioned, of this drive is to reduce state spending by nearly $766 million each year. Can you tell us more of the measures that are to be undertaken under this, and how do you think spending is to be monitored?
Well, I think this move by the Prime Minister has come after massive protests and criticism of the way he had been expanding his cabinet up to 85, 86 ministers and deputy ministers, because all the ministries suck a considerable amount of money. And however, he has given a very ridiculous figure of $200 billion of spending every year. They're assuming that they will be here for the next couple of years, whereas we are headed into elections, and this very cabinet is likely to last only a couple of months, a few months at most, and this is just to placate the common people, the common man who has been suffering, reeling from massive inflation, price hike. I don't think this is a very lasting thing. When the ministers duty, how can they and why should they forego their salaries? But the actual issue that the IMF wants resolved is a number of other reforms that need to be taken. It relates to the military bureaucracy, or to the civilian bureaucracy, or the politicians, members of parliament, ministers who enjoy undue privileges, perks and privileges, even including the judiciary, because when a judge of High Court or Supreme Court retires, he's drawing ₹1 million pension every month, which is ridiculous for a country in which the minimum salary is still around 17,000 rupees, less than $100 a month. So this disparity has to end, and this is what the IMF has been demanding, to shift the burden of taxation, shift the burden for more revenue collection to the rich people, to the privileged ones who have been getting richer at the cost of the dominant majority of the country.
Right, absolutely. So your position is that this may not be as sustainable. So as you know, this directive comes as Islamabad negotiates with the IMF to secure a $1 billion bailout. So as you mentioned, you don't think that this drive will prove to be effective in securing the IMF bailout. What other measures do you think the government can adopt for sustainable expenditure here?
Well, for that, there shall have to be a total revamp of the system that Pakistan is governed by, and that will require political consensus as well as support of the armed forces, because the entire system is geared or tilted more towards the privileged ones. And according to one of the former colleagues of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, that is the Finance Minister Miftah Ismail, He himself is now peddling a theme which says that it's a 1% republic, meaning that there are just 1% people who basically are uh, benefiting at the cost of 99%. And he's so true, because there's a very small class of people, the rich ones, the industrialists, the politicians, who also have businesses, and the military industrial complex, that they all basically thrive off at the cost of the dominant majority. And this is where they need to dig in, and they need to tax more people. They need to cut privileges that are available to the judges, to the ministers. So this is not just about the ministers foregoing their salaries. There's a huge amount of work that needs to be done as far as taxing the rich ones is concerned.
All right, Mr. Imtiaz Gul, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast with your insights on this.
Welcome.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.